Hey guys, it's Diego from Baka Burrito, and in today's Baka Burrito episode, or Breakfast Burrito, we'll be talking about a new manga called Undead Unluck. It currently has 61 chapters, I think. It comes out every Sunday, along with, One Piece, My Hero, and every other Shonen Jump manga, and every other Shonen Jump manga. Um, so yeah, I just want to recommend this manga because this manga is really good. It has very creative and interesting power system, plus interesting plot line and very likable characters. Um, First I'll just give a quick summary. So I guess Undead Unluck is about a guy named Undead. Well, he actually doesn't have a name. He doesn't remember his name, but he just calls himself Undead. Later he gets a nickname called Andy. So Andy is undead, meaning he literally cannot die. He has an ability that negates his death. It literally negates his own death. And so he literally cannot die and he wants to die. He's trying to find a way to kill himself. So he meets this girl that has an ability called Unluck, which she negates everyone's luck. And so when someone touches her, their luck is completely negated to the point where they almost die. Like it is such an interesting ability. It's like very like plot device esque, but it's creative in the way that it's like anything could happen. Like like someone touches her and then like a meteor can fall down, or they can get struck by lightning, or a truck will swerve off the highway and hit them or something, or a train will pass by out of nowhere. Um, and so he wants to use her in order to kill himself because that's what he does. He just kills a bunch. I mean, she's a very shy and introverted girl, so she's not going around killing a bunch of people. But she's basically the only person he can touch without him dying because he's undead. Um, and so her luck after fuck, okay. And so her luck has a her unluck and so her unluck has a and so her unluck works on some conditions, like how long you've been touching, how long you touched that person, and what her feelings for that person are. And so what they found out is that the more feelings she has for that person, the stronger her ability is. And so his and so almost the entire plot. I don't want to say the entire plot because there's a deeper plot within it that is very interesting. But basically their goal, or Andy's goal, the undead's goal, is to make her fall in love with him. That way, when he touches her, it'll be the strongest stroke of unluck, and hopefully he dies. That's the plan. That's the plan, which is kind of messed up when you think about it, but it makes for a very interesting story and great fight scenes because they fight together, and yeah. Um, However, uh, let's go. All right, so that's the summary of the story. Let's go back into Let me talk about the power system before. So as you know, there's undead and there's unluck, and all these power systems have like an unmove, un something, un in front of some word, and what they do is they negate. They're called negators. Um, Undead negates his death. Unluck negates luck. There's a person called unmove, which negates movement. Um, and so on and so forth. And the way these powers work um are super interesting. They they dive into like the nuances of each ability, and they try to, because the way undead fights other negators, at least the way he fights other negators, is that he tries to find what type of negator they are, and like he tries to figure out how their abilities work. And so we ourselves see the abilities used and pushed to the limit and used in very interesting ways. I really like it. Um, if you're a fan of like Hunter x Hunter, you're gonna enjoy this simply because the ability matchups and stuff. Um, the ways the abilities match up is a lot like, or not the way the abilities match up is a lot like Nen, but more like the rules that these abilities have are a lot like Nen. And how creative people are with these abilities are amazing. So, for example, Undead, he regenerates so fast that it like propels himself. So he can like propel himself by like regenerating his legs, and then his legs fall off. But like the propulsion from him regenerating gives him enough force to like make him like leap from building to building. Or he has this really cool move called bullet parts, I think, where he regenerates the tip of his finger so fast and then sends this tip flying. So it's basically like a bullet. It's pretty cool. Um, he also has a fucking he has an indestructible sword that the way he sheaths it is by implanting it into his forearm. It's so cool, and like he uses it to and when he unsheaths it, a bunch of blood comes out, and he uses that to like blind his enemies and stuff. So yeah, the way the abilities used, specifically Andy. Andy's probably one of the most creative ones I've ever seen use the regeneration ability. There's not a lot of tension because he's undead, so we know Andy's not gonna die within his fights. But that doesn't make him unstoppable. He can still be restrained. He can, it's not like he's like a god where he has like unlimited strength, where he can like blow up planets or something. He's just, what I'm saying, you can just restrain him. You can't kill him, but you can restrain him. And the way he fights with Unluck is really cool. Unfortunately, or fortunately, because Unluck's ability has to do with physical touch, there's a lot of fan service. And so a lot of the time, when they're fighting, um, she fights while on his back and like touching him and stuff. And touching him, and then the unluck doesn't work until she lets go of him. So a lot of times she'll like be touching him, and then he'll basically like gonna suicide or like kamikaze into his opponent because you know when she's touching him and then she lets go of him, and then a meteor strikes down on top of him. If he's near his enemy, it's gonna hit the enemy too. So I don't know. It's just a really cool way to like very unique way to fight. He's like literally always, well, not always, but a lot of times he's fighting with literally someone on his back. Um, with someone on his back. It's pretty cool. Um, but I would like to actually talk about the world a little bit because the world is what it really makes this really ups the ante for this. So basically, in this world, it's kind of like Jujutsu Kaisen in the sense where there's curses. Um, but they are called Uma, and um, these Umas, like like there's an Uma burn that creates fire. That's um, they're spawned from the fear of people or from rule. No, they're not spawned from fear. They're spawned from rule. I'm mixing up Jujutsu Kaisen and things. They're spawned from rules, and they add rules to the world. So, like for example, there's Uma called Decay, and their rule is that they decay people. Obviously, people don't live forever because they age and then eventually decay. And so the Uma's ability, the demon's ability, is to decay things. Is to decay things. And they're supposed to defeat these Umas, and so to lift the rule from society. Um, um, Anyways, there's this Uma called the main plot. That was just an example of an Uma. Decay was just an example of an Uma. The main plot is from this Uma called Apocalypse, um, which is um, there's an organization of people that basically do quests for this Uma called Apocalypse because if they don't do the quests, the apocalypse happens. And the way the world works is so great. So, like for example, there will be like the unification. There'll be like an Uma of language, and when you defeat that Uma, it'll unite all languages or something like that. Um, or for example, Or for example, there's an Uma called like the Uma Galaxy, which once it's birthed into the world, it creates a galaxy, which then leads to aliens, which then leads to other stuff, which then leads to the stars in the night sky. So there's a point where there's no stars. Um, yeah. That's not too spoiler, but because that's like when you get to the meat of the series, that's when you understand what the series is about. Um, it's basically about trying to stop Ragnarok. Um, so Andy and Unluck, so Undead and Unluck, they work for an organization. They end up working for an organization together, and they're partnered in a lot of quests, and they do quests in order to stop Ragnarok. Because if you fail a quest, they get a tally mark, and then eventually Ragnarok happens. Um, so yeah, I think it's a very interesting series. I think it should deserve a lot more praise and shine. I'm sure more people are gonna get into it as it gets into like it's a lot better art and stuff. Hopefully the anime comes out. When the anime comes out, you guys should definitely check this out. Um, there's no, I don't think there's been any word on an anime yet, but any news on an anime, but it'll get there eventually. Um, but yeah, Undead Unluck. Um, hopefully you guys read it and enjoy it. It can be found on Fizz on the Fizz official website. There's only 61 chapters out, so there's not a lot of catching up to do. Um, but yeah, within the first 20 chapters, I was hooked. One, Andy is such a great character. Andy is such a great character. One, because the way he's not, because he's been alive for so long, he's smart and he knows a lot of things. He's smart and he knows a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? He knows a lot of martial arts. He knows a lot of he just knows a lot of things, and he's done a bunch of stuff. He has like Andy has like safe houses across like the world where he has like helicopters and armories and stuff that help him with his missions. Um, because he's been alive for so long, he's like, let me just stock up on these things, so for when I need them, they'll be around the world wherever I need them. Um, you know what I'm saying? So he's smart. He's not your typical shonen protagonist. He's typical, I guess, in the way where he's brash and he does whatever he wants. He literally does whatever he wants. Um, and no one can stop him from doing it. But he has a heart. He is very touchy. That's very unfortunate. but but yeah. And then there's Unluck. Unluck is actually very good because at first she's a very because of her power, she's an 18-year-old girl, and because of her power, she's very shy, timid. She's very she's been locked in her whole life because she doesn't want to touch anyone and like or accidentally brush up against someone and then they die. So but her development after meeting Andy is so great because Andy isn't afraid of anything because he can't die, and so he kind of pushes her to use her power for better, which is why they join an organization to stop Apocalypse. Um, um, so yeah, um, Unluck's development is pretty fast and it's very entertaining. So I hope you guys enjoy. Um, thanks for watching. Please leave a like, maybe subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And thank you. Peace out.